Hey guys, welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm Ron Mackenzie Lafergie. With the Avengers going strong and the Defenders and Justice League on their way, we're seeing more and more superhero teams on the screen. But there are some less well-known team-ups that are incredibly strange and often terrible. So prepare yourself, here are the top 10 most unlikely superhero team-ups. Number 10. Spider-Man and SNL. In Marvel Team-Up number 74, Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson went to watch a taping of Saturday Night Live. John Belushi is playing his samurai character and ends up getting his hands on Silver Samurai's ring. When Silver Samurai comes to get his ring, Spidey has to help John Belushi and the other not ready for primetime players battle against Silver Samurai and his crew. The SNL cast puts up a pretty good fight, dressed as heroes like Miss Marvel and Thor, and eventually the day is saved. This actually would have been a pretty amazing sketch, especially since that cast was one of the best SNL casts ever. Number 9. Batman and Sherlock Holmes. This one actually made quite a bit of sense. Two of the world's greatest detectives working together in one mysterious comic. When a descendant of the infamous Moriarty starts causing trouble, Batman turns to none other than Sherlock Holmes for help. But the unlikely thing is that this actually took place in modern day while Holmes was alive in the 1800s. But it's okay because they had a super plausible explanation for his long life. A distillation of royal jelly from bees and the rarefied atmosphere of Tibet. Sounds legit. Number 8. Batman and Spider-Man. So this is one of the more likely on this list since at least both characters are superheroes, but it's still a pretty weird combination. Not only are they from different universes, with Batman being DC and Spider-Man being Marvel, but they have totally different personalities. Batman is the stoic, silent defender of the night, while Spider-Man is the wisecracking young kid who loves to make dumb jokes. In the same issue, we saw Joker and Carnage getting along splendidly, which I suppose isn't much of a surprise. A lot of people didn't like this, but I thought the Abbott and Costello relationship that Bats and Spidey had was pretty funny. Number 7. Superman and the Quick Bunny. Okay, this one was just the worst. While this may seem like just some clever ad for Nesquik, it was actually a freaking terrible ad for Nesquik. Seriously, they managed to ruin Superman and Nesquik in one short comic. Superman faces up against Weather Wizard and for some reason can't handle it alone and needs help from the little bunny. Then they have a chocolate milk drinking contest and Superman can't even win that. The only good thing about this comic is it reminded me of all those awesome Nesquik commercials from the 90s. Remember when he threw his Q into the pool and it turned to chocolate? Those were the days. Number 6. Superman and Bugs Bunny. Yep, turns out Soups has a thing for rabbits. In this 4-part series, we saw a bunch of heroes working alongside Looney Tunes characters. After Mixie's Pitlick and Yo-Yo the Dodo brought the two worlds together. To make matters worse, and at the same time way better, the characters had their personalities mixed up too. Seeing the Flash and Roadrunner running their butts off and Daffy Duck acting like Batman, so basically Darkwing Duck, was just amazing. Number 5. Archie and the Punisher. In one issue of Archie, the Punisher came to town hunting a criminal who looked much like Archie. But then the Punisher meets Archie and realizes that he's straight up the most wholesome person ever and doesn't harm him. This is actually a pretty decent one since it took place in Archie comics. The absurd and lighthearted atmosphere that generally comes from these crossovers worked pretty well. Number 4. Batman and the Ninja Turtles. In the 6-issue series Batman / Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we see, well, Batman meeting the Ninja Turtles. The Turtles and Shredder find themselves transported to Gotham City, coming across Batman and a number of villains as they try to find their way back home. They have pretty weird chemistry, kinda like Batman and Spider-Man, but 4 of them. And Batman even chastises Michelangelo for chewing with his mouth open. As good as Splinter is at teaching martial arts, he clearly slacked on teaching them manners. I think it's time for Bruce to pick up 4 new wards. Number 3. The Sonic Gang and a bunch of inappropriate Image characters. In Archie Adventure Series number 7, Sonic Super Special, we saw the Sonic Gang team up with a cast of characters from Image Comics. This was super weird, but pretty cool, seeing the Sonic characters battling it up with some pretty cool Image characters like Shadowhawk and Savage Dragon. It wasn't the most fitting combination because the Image characters are a little more adult than the Sonic ones, but the worst part is that Spawn was barely in it. Even though he was on the cover and is probably Image Comics' most famous character, he was just in one panel saying no, and then failing. It's like Image Comics could only afford him for one quick cameo scene, but like Spawn isn't some famous actor who's super busy. You can draw him all you want. They didn't even include him in the final fight. So lame, and it had such potential. Number 2, X-Men and Star Trek. This was another of the comics that as a comic was pretty mediocre, but the fact that it was Star Trek and X-Men all in one comic made it just amazing. Now, I know what you're thinking, this must have been done because Patrick Stewart was in both X-Men and Star Trek. Well, sadly this comic was released in 1996, 4 years before Stewart played Professor X on screen, so they missed what would have been a pretty hilarious opportunity. The comic did still have its moments though, my favorite being when Spock knocks out Wolverine with a Vulcan nerve pinch. Yeah, give it a read if you're a fan of the two franchises, just don't expect literary gold. Number 1, The Punisher and EMINEM. In a one-off Punisher comic in 2009, we saw EMINEM added to the mix, at first fighting against the Punisher until he realizes that Castle had come to protect him. Because apparently Barracuda, another artist with whom EMINEM grew up, was hired by the frickin' Parents Music Council to kill EMINEM. Yeah, that's the trick. This guy's promoting violence to our kids, so we're gonna kill him. Honestly, the comic itself was pretty awful. EMINEM's animation stuck out like a sore thumb for some reason, and somehow he managed to pistol whip Punisher and knock him out. But it was still pretty epic to see EMINEM and the Punisher in a comic together. Yeah, was this done mostly to hype up his new album? Definitely. Does that make it less amazing? Not even a little. That's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do us a favor and smack that thumbs up button and subscribe to Top 10 Nerd to see more videos. Let me know in the comments which team up you found the most ridiculous. Until next time, I'm Ron Mackenzie LaFergie with Top 10 Nerd. Later, nerds.